Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of 2026 and Happy New Year, everyone. I'm glad that you're joining me tonight. And this is my third attempt at recording this episode. Hopefully third time's a charm, friends. Usually is. It usually is. If you've ever stayed in a relationship past its expiration date, right? And you wondered why did I stay in a relationship even though, there's evidence to support that this relationship is no longer functioning. It's toxic. It's not bringing out the best in me, but yet I'm still in that relationship. If you ever wondered why, there are possibilities to explain this, but one of the biggest possibilities is what we're going to talk about tonight. And that one is so subtle. We don't recognize it because consciously to admit what I'm about to tell you is very hard for humans to admit. I think the average person will have difficulty admitting this to themselves, and that is that I'm not chosen. We get into relationships and we choose a person, and in this scenario, the ideal outcome is that they choose us back. But what happens when our partner consistently shows us that we are not chosen, that we are not prioritized is another way to say that, or that they are not committed, we're not important? This one is hard to accept. It's really hard because the programming we all have is that the story is I choose my person and they choose me and they're my person, and we validate this story in movies and books. It's very powerful that we love someone and that in our mind we already established that they love us back. We'll go ahead and make up stories in our head just so that we could come up with this outcome. And we'll refuse to see the reality that's in front of us, that they may be not prioritizing us. They may not value this relationship. We're not going to see all that because our main objective in our brain has become that they do love us. So what our mind is going to start doing is it'll start justifying or making excuses for them, a little bit at a time. This starts a lengthy process in a relationship. It's constantly back and forth, arguing and trying to convince this partner who does not find this relationship important, consistently trying to make them see how important this relationship is. We try to tell them that what we do for them and how we try to be needed by them and see how important we are to them. But they consistently show us that that's not the case. We choose them. We commit to them. We give them 110%, but they're not giving it to us back. Yet we stay. We accept this. The thing that keeps us in here is that we will not admit to ourselves that they didn't choose us, that they may not find this valuable, that they may have found other relationships valuable, but not this one. Our mind, ego, pride, whatever you want to call it, will not want to admit that. A big part of it too is that if I have to admit it, there's a grieving process that's going to start. And most of us, we want to stay away from that grieving process. So what do? We choose hope instead. False hope. Hope that doesn't require much evidence. We say to ourselves something like, well, I don't want to be unkind. I don't want to hurt the person. If I let them go, I'm going to hurt the person. I feel bad about that. All these things, right? To justify why we stay in this relationship, even though it is not properly reciprocated. They're not putting in the effort that we're putting in. And this is okay. This is okay because we're staying in. We continue to make space for it in our life and give more and put more effort in. And even in us trying to convince them and argue with them, that's more effort. This eventually becomes disappointing. And we think to ourselves, I stayed in there too long. I put up with a lot. And it's hard to convince ourselves after a while that we just have to cut our losses. Oh boy, that one is probably the biggest one. That all that effort I put in is just I just have to cut my losses. But again, because us humans don't want to admit that this was really time that did not produce any outcome in this that I desire, at least. It's hard for me to accept that. And so what I will try to do is keep the hope, lie to myself, tell myself that I just need to put a little bit more, be more patient. I'll tell myself that persistence pays off. It does in movies. It does in books. People experience the suffering, but they're rewarded for their suffering. Even if you've seen in the past mom and dad staying together past their expiration date themselves, and they did it, and they made justifications and excuses why they stayed. Like, I stayed for the kids. I stayed for financial reasons. I stayed because I love him. I stayed because I didn't want to hurt him or her. All the reasons. But all that still will not save us from the largest resentment that we'll have towards ourselves. And that is that I just didn't have the courage to accept a truth. And that in that truth is, I'm not chosen. I'm not the one that's chosen. Yeah, that's the story of not being chosen. I deal with that in session. And I think sometimes it's hard to tell a person when they're not ready that the person that they love is committed to everything else, committed to other people, puts effort into other things, but they're not putting effort in them. And that we just need to see it as is. Just like that. There's no softening that. There's no sugarcoating that. It just is what it is. And that's hard. That's hard. I really tried to think about different ways of saying this. Really tried. I'm telling you, this is like my third recording of this. Because I thought the wording was too harsh. That I'm just not chosen. And I couldn't think of anything else. I think that's really it. You'll know when you're in that kind of relationship and you're not chosen. You'll know because these are the following things that you'll see. For example, you'll be putting in a lot of effort, but the other person is not. You will accept ambiguity or lack of clarity in a relationship. A person doesn't have to solidly commit to anything. And that's okay. Again, that's accepted in that relationship. Another thing will be red flags that we need to see. We turn into justification and we say, well, maybe it's not the right time, or maybe they need more time, or I need to do more. Whatever the case is, we consider those red flags as timing issues rather than red flags. You'll find yourself being in one of those relationships when you consistently take accountability when you know it's not your fault. So in a situation where a person may call you needy, you might think, well, I'm not needy. I've been in this relationship for a while. We need to move forward, but this person's not moving forward. And they say, I'm just being too needy or too, I don't know, whatever the case is. And in our case, we'll accept it. We'll accept accountability for that. We'll say, well, maybe I'm too needy. Maybe I am asking for a lot. When you find yourself doing that, right? Even though clearly the person is not, is just not moving forward with decision making and with commitment. Yeah, I'm still accepting that. You'll know that you're in that situation when it's just consistently lying to yourself and saying, well, it might be me. I'm just being too pushy. or too needy. In those situations, I'm not asking if that person wants me. I'm not asking myself that. Are they wanting me? All I'm asking for and care about is trying to become that someone to them, that everything to them that they can't lose. I'm going to try to be as available as possible. I'm going to try to be everything to them. I'm going to try to give them a lot of things, overfunction for them in order for me not to lose them. But I'm not considering the fact that they may not want me in that way. They might want me sometimes, but they don't want me the way I want them. They're not choosing me the way I'm choosing them, but I'm not willing to see that. I'm too busy being everything that I think they can't lose. But they never committed to begin with. They never really invested to begin with. And you'll know who you are. I'm not talking to everybody out there. I'm not talking to everybody who's been in an unsatisfying relationship. No, it could be for many other reasons. I'm talking about specifically the feelings I'm describing, dealing with not feeling like I'm chosen. And me accepting that, me saying that to myself. I don't think this person chooses me like I'm choosing them. And that hurts to admit. Man, oh man, can someone relate? Can a lot of humans relate to this? They accept finally that the person did not put that effort in as they did with their exes perhaps, or with other people, their friends. They don't put that much effort in me and them. To have to admit that to myself, oh man, that hurts. It makes my stomach sick. But if I can make the space inside of me to see that the person is not more or less than what they've shown me to be, just as they are, and that in their behavior, it clearly implies that they're not choosing me like I'm choosing them. They don't want me like I want them. And man, oh man, that is very difficult to admit to one's self. I mean, we'd rather go through torture for years, okay, instead of admitting this observable fact. So we'll sit in the delusion of hope, the kind of hope that is imprisoning. We'll sit in that hope and we'll suffocate. We'll suffocate because I don't want to show it to myself. I don't want to show this truth to myself that I'm just not the one for that person. It doesn't mean I'm inferior. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. It doesn't mean that I need to go work harder. It just means that how people are attracted to one another is something that's a larger order than I can comprehend. I don't need to know the formula for that, nor do I think I can control the formula for that. All I need to know is that if I am meant to be with this person, we match, it clicks, it makes sense, it's going to be reciprocated, it's mutual. But when it doesn't match, then there is a struggle, and it needs to be that obvious to me that is a struggle. And that struggle doesn't need to be exciting, because if it is exciting to me and I'm chasing the struggle and I'm accepting it as part of the relationship, because if I'm playing with them, I'm still engaging with them, I'm accepting it, even if I don't like it. So don't confuse me not liking it, right, with me not accepting it, right? You can be in a situation where you don't like it, but you accept it because you're still in the relationship and you're still engaging and fighting and convincing and working real hard in that relationship, and on and off and on and off and on and off, trying to make this person be something they're not showing you they can be. Again, not because I'm inferior. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. So, man, you would save yourself a lot of heartache, a lot of wasted time, wasted years trying to convince someone and earn someone's love when they've already made up their mind that I'm not the one. Like, that is just a years full of resentment and trauma bonding, if you will. Because if I'm accepting that very aggressive texture in this relationship. It's not peaceful. Basically, it's a trauma bond. We're both We both like this texture. We both have these demons we got to work on, and our demons are hanging out with one another. I think a lot of people are interested in finding out, well, how do we become this way? How do we become a person that is not willing to see that, or even accept or admit to themselves that we're just not chosen in this case? Well, it starts off really from early attachments, because that's your first experience with how you dealt with disappointment in loving someone. And when you find yourself early on trying to compete for love, trying to earn for love, finding that waiting is part of your experience. Love is not easily accessible. So you're okay with waiting until somebody finds it convenient to love you, right? Then you think this is normal. We grow up believing that persistence will pay off. And so we'll wait, we'll put in effort. We don't even care to see if effort is reciprocated. We just care that I'm okay if you're breadcrumbing me, because I'm just used to waiting for love. Eventually I'm going to get it. And that's what we did growing up, is probably wait around until we were given a little bit of love here and there, but you could just tell that it wasn't accessible. Whatever it is has made us believe that the norm is all this dysfunctional behavior of waiting, of justifying the behaviors of others when they're not putting in effort, expecting little from others, being in a place of competition. So if my parents always compared me to another sibling or a cousin or a friend of the family, look, so-and-so has good grades, why can't you have good grades? So-and-so looks this way, why can't you look this way? Right? Then you are used to consistently being placed as an option, not a priority. And this again is the norm. So later on in attachments, a person who puts you in a place of competition, where you have to compete for their affection or their attention or their love, wouldn't be so unfamiliar. It would be familiar. We'd even mistake it for love because we know how to maneuver in this type of environment. It would rev up our anxious attachment and we would thrive in that environment. So that's how childhood somehow contributes to this. You're not born overnight, so you have memories and programming that enables this to occur later on in attachment. There will come a moment eventually when you're in this type of relationship that you admit to yourself, and then you start realizing, hopefully, that this relationship is not progressing. It stays stuck. Issues are never resolved because one person's always in control of what is being talked about and addressed and confronted, and what is not being addressed. One person is deciding, and the other person is almost always auditioning. Eventually, there's going to be the realization that desire does not need persuasion. So if I'm still arguing with this person consistently, trying to prove to them that I am of value, there's my answer. There's my answer. This does not need to feel okay with me. This needs to feel like, what the hell am I doing? Trying to convince this person I'm valuable. Love isn't a decision that is made after enough evidence is revealed, right? Love is revealed through consistency. That's how it's revealed. Through consistency in the person's responses. It's not sprinkled here and there. So you'll know that this type of relationship doesn't feel secure. You're not satiated. It doesn't feel full and fulfilling. It feels starving. It feels desiccated. And no matter what I do, it will not bring it to life consistently. It will not be sustained. I will have to keep reviving it and trying to hold that relationship together. You'll know you're in one of these relationships when all you got to do is visualize that if you're holding up that relationship with both hands and you start removing your hands from that relationship, you stop doing all the things that you do for that relationship to keep it together, you'll know deep down inside that this relationship will just fall to the ground and shatter because you're the only one that's been holding it up. You'll know if you're honest with yourself. And that's what we're doing on the year 2026, is facing those fears within us that hold us back from the life we're meant to live. So let's all commit to that. Let's all commit to being there for ourselves and to finally stop self-abandoning. Stop settling for the minimum, for the lack of clarity, for the hope that one day this person will put in the effort that I've put in. That one day they'll realize that I'm that important and that I'm valuable and I'm lovable. And just accept the loss and start grieving so this way you can move forward. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Just know, I'm sending you love and light. Clarity hurts once. Avoidance hurts every day. This has been an episode of Drive-thru.